Okay, alright, hi. I have been watching The Flash and I want to talk about the first 4 seasons. I am ill. I'm sorry, but I want to make this video and I can't wait for my voice to get better, so this is just how I sound. I hope it's not too distracting. Okay, so The Flash. Let me very quickly go over my history with this show. Basically, when this first came out like a decade ago, I saw the first 2 seasons, and I always wanted to watch more of it, but I never really had the opportunity to. And my desire for more Flash stories is honestly one of the things that led to me picking up comics properly. But yeah, fast forward to today, and I have Amazon Prime for a little bit, and the first 7 seasons of The Flash are on Prime Video. There are 9 overall. I'd forgotten most of what I already knew about the first 2 seasons, so those were mostly fresh experiences watching through those. So I'm going to talk about it real quick. Season 1, I think, is my favourite season that I've seen so far. It's fantastic. Okay, so if you've never seen The Flash before, or a CW show before, it's very hammy. It's very cheesy. The dialogue can be quite cringe sometimes. Everyone wears their feelings on their sleeve, but it's great. And I'm going to be talking spoilers here as well, because I want to give you my entire thoughts on the show, just to give you a warning. And so the framing of Season 1 is that we've got Barry Allen learning how to be the Flash, and one of the people helping him is Harrison Wells, who we very quickly learn is actually Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash, hiding out in the past. And this makes for such a legitimately compelling season, because while we're doing Metahuman of the Week, at the same time we have this undercurrent story which is brewing of the Reverse Flash, and why is he here? Why is he helping the Flash? Who is he? And all this stuff. And the further the season goes on, the more dangerous the Reverse Flash becomes, because you're rooting for the main cast to figure this out, but at the same time you're dreading it because you know how dangerous Reverse Flash is, and you're not certain that Barry's ready to face him yet. So on the one hand, you've got this intriguing mystery, on the other hand, you've got this building suspense. It's so good, man. All the while, we're being introduced to the base concepts of the show and the characters, who are all really likable, by the way. Barry's relationship to his second dad, Joe, is a highlight of the show for me. It's really wholesome and really well done. I will say the one thing that does not land for me is Barry and Iris. And this is something that develops as the show goes on. I just don't get a sense of chemistry between the two of them. Even when they get together in later seasons and become husband and wife and all this stuff, at no point do I feel... it feels so performative for love between them. I don't know if this is just a me thing. I don't have any problems with Iris as a character, really. She's fine, but I don't know. At no point was I really excited for them or rooting for them to be together, you know what I mean? And I remember as well, one of my only criticisms with Season 1 was the whole don't tell Iris thing. Don't tell Iris about the Flash. Everyone in the cast knows that Barry is the Flash except Iris, because I guess she needs protecting, ? Anyway, Season 2 arrives and we're dealing with Zoom now. And I'm not gonna lie, it's a bit of a retread of Season 1, right? You have this antagonist who is pretending to be everyone's friend. He's under the radar, but he turns out to secretly be an evil speedster from the future who ends up murdering one of Barry's parents. It's Season 1 again, but it's also really cool. We also deal with the multiverse for the first time, and Earth 2 and all of that stuff. We get introduced to Harry Wells, which I was glad of because I do like Tom Cavanagh. I know him from Scrubs, so I was excited to see him in this. And yeah, overall I enjoyed Season 2 quite a bit. Then Season 3 rolled around and we were dealing with Savitar and the idea of, can you change the future? Is it predestined? Is Iris West going to die? We also had Dr. Alchemy. We had Tom Felton show up. And this series kind of began a trend of what if each and every season we introduce a new unlikable character? We're going to introduce an unlikable character and then try and convince you into liking them by the end of the season. I don't know why they kept doing that. But this time around they were like, yeah, what if this time we introduce, a partner for Barry in his CSI unit who hates his actual guts and will just shit on him every time he opens his mouth. Amazing. Incredible. But also the start of this season dealt with Flashpoint, which was fun to see, I suppose. Kind of an inevitable endpoint for Barry's trauma, and it was fun to see him deal with that. And Savitar is kind of part of that too, right? Because of who Savitar ends up being. I wasn't too shocked that it turned out to be an evil Barry, but that's mostly because when I was searching wallpapers for Wallpaper Engine for a video like this, I found a wallpaper which was half Savitar's face, half Barry's face, and I thought, now either that could just be, cinematic poster art, or it could be symbolizing that they are two halves of a same coin. Maybe Savitar is an evil version of Barry. I was right. And this is why you can't hint things at me. When I ask for no spoilers on anything, don't hint things at me, because my brain picks up on shit like that, and it kind of ends up becoming a spoiler even when it's not meant to be. But this was just my own fault. But yeah, quite enjoyed season 3. Oh, also we had HR. We also got... So we started introducing annoying Harrison Wells clones. Harry Wells the previous season was cool, but HR was not so much. You're supposed to love him by the end of the season, and I suppose I kind of did, but it very much felt like he didn't need to be there, and indeed, a lot of the crux of his characterization within the story is, why is he here? What does he contribute to the team? Look at him desperately trying to find some way to contribute to the team. It was just unnecessary, really. Could have done without that. And then season 4. So I heard that this show was really good for 3 seasons, and then it starts going downhill. I decided to see where it goes. So, season 4... we've got our first non-speedster main enemy. We've got the Thinker. And you know what? I kind of hated him at first. He was kind of doofy and weird. But by the end of the series, I was actually pretty invested in him as a villain. This guy who was making metahumans just so that he could steal their powers and their bodies and stuff like that. And the slow decline of his, morals and ethics and stuff like that. That was actually a legitimately interesting character. He didn't really have the cool factor that the previous villains did, but he was interesting to watch. Especially in how he framed Barry and tried to ruin his life and everything. I quite enjoyed watching that. However, this season's hateable character that they introduced was the elongated man, Ralph Dibny, who, really thinks he's the funniest man in the room, and nobody else agrees, including me. He's not the worst in the world, but again, we've got this guy who starts out hating Barry's guts, and I just... okay. They do a fake-out death with him, and I can't say I was too sad to see him go. I can say I was a little sad to see him return, though. And I will say, overall, while I don't think this season was quite as enjoyable as previous seasons, I think it had one of the best single episodes in the show, which was Enter Flash Time, where they notably took time out from the overarching plot and decided to do kind of a one-off. And the premise is basically that a nuclear bomb goes off and Flash basically pauses time as it detonates and is trying to figure out how to solve the problem, and becoming increasingly more frantic as he continues to fail. And it's really, really good. Absolutely solid episode of television. I will say though, pauses time. Yeah, the show's logic and Barry's powers, it becomes a little bit more unstable the longer it goes on, I've got to say. If Barry can pause time at will, why can't he run that fast all the time? You know what I mean? There are several times in the show where Barry talks about needing to go faster than he's ever gone before. He's not going fast enough. He needs to break this particular speed limit. But near the beginning of the show, in terms of seasons, he goes back in time, which means he can run faster than light. But it's not treated that way. But you kind of need to turn your brain off and enjoy it sometimes. Now, season 5, I am a couple of episodes in, and I don't know if I'm going to continue the show. This is kind of the main reason I'm making this video. Because I am 2 episodes in, and our villain of the season seems to be a guy in a gas mask with a knife that can nullify powers. And I gotta tell you, fam, that does not sound interesting or exciting. Like, I'm sorry, Our previous villains have been people who can run faster than the speed of light and change the course of history, or are more intelligent than anyone alive and can steal and absorb people's powers and swap bodies and stuff. You're gonna tell me that the team who have dealt with these threats are now stumped when it comes to a man with a knife that can nullify powers and is just a bit spooky? Please tell me there's more to him than that. I'm in this weird spot where I don't want to stop watching because I would miss the show, I would miss the characters, but at the same time, the last few episodes have felt like a bit of a chore to get through. Nothing really interesting has happened. I guess, their daughter from the future has shown up, Barry and Iris' daughter Nora, but beyond that, there's nothing really happening that I care about. We've got another alternate Wells, and this time he's like this Sherlock character who may or may not be a fraud, and I don't care. I do not care about that character one bit, but he's integrating with the main cast, and we're all having drama around him, and oh god, I don't know if I care to go on. Now, when I was trying to figure out if I was going to continue, I did scroll down the episode listings, and I did see some titles and some descriptions, which partially spoiled it for me. So here's what I know, okay? Again, we're talking full spoilers for Season 5, even though I don't know full spoilers for Season 5, so be mindful of that in the comments if you're going to leave one. I saw the name Godspeed, which does interest me because I have read that run of The Flash, and I'm interested to see the introduction of that character. I also saw something about Nora working with Eobard Thawne, so Thawne returns, that's interesting. Why is Nora working with him? Interested to find that out. And I saw that there are 2 cicadas? I forget how you say that name, and that I'm not excited or interested about. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Do I continue this series? Let me know. Either way, those have been my thoughts on The Flash so far. Thanks for coming and checking this out, and I will catch you in whatever I make next.